I was on holiday in Spain, and my wife and daughter were travelling out, flying into Malaga, and I had to drive across from where we have our house to Malaga. And as I drove across, I heard the news of the 7/7 bombings in London a few years ago, and I'd been on my own writing in this little village in Andalusia for a few weeks, and I probably had too much of my own company, and I was on this journey, and my mind sort of started drifting as to what I would do if anything terrible had happened to my wife and my daughter, for example, on the plane that I was going to meet them. And I came up with all these things these vengeances that I would exact on the perpetrators. And when I got to the airport, I said, "Oh, I'm so pleased to see you, because you know what a terrible thing that's happened in London, and I was worried about you on the flight." And I said, and my mind's been flying with all these sort of horrible acts of vengeance. And I explained these horrible acts, some of which are in the first book. And my daughter said, "Well, what you could have done, Dad, you could have got a cheese grater and you could have got it on his tummy and gone up and down like that." So the book is basically kind of a fantasy about what a series of parents who had terrible things happen to their children, and the police and the due process of law didn't exact the right sort of punishment on the perpetrators of these crimes, and in fact the perpetrators of the crimes are still at large or have been released from prison. What would happen if these parents could get together, and what they might do? So it's a story about revenge, but also woven into that, it's also a story about the possibility of forgiveness, and whether it's better to seek vengeance or to try to forgive. And that kind of plays along with Staffe's long-term dilemma as to he's sort of driven to find the people who killed his mum and dad, but he's also tortured by what he will do, whether he will find it within him to forgive these people, or whether he will bring them to justice or exact some sort of personal vengeance. So that's sort of Staffe's long storyline, which emerges from the first book. And in the first book, he has to go back into the past, because similar crimes had happened in the not too distant past, involving his sort of mentor figure, Jessup. And as he digs into the crime, he has to look quite close to home for where these crimes might have originated. And it also plays around with the notion that sometimes the law has to protect the guilty, and has to seek out the innocents, or people who might be described as being innocent, the victims of crimes.